David Olson stood rigid on the Jeep Wrangler's passenger running board, clinging tightly to the roof rack support bar. The vehicle barreled down the uneven road, way faster than Rich had promised. He glanced under the aluminum basket bolted to the roof rack and made eye contact with Larsen, who appeared equally uncomfortable with the ride. Joshua stood on the Jeep's rear bumper, holding the back rim of the cargo basket, an excited look on his face. At least someone was having fun. David still couldn't process the sheer insanity of their escape from the quarantine zone. By all rights, they should be dead, torn to pieces by the infected population. Their destiny had changed the moment Major Smith had decided to disobey orders and evacuate the civilians he'd been ordered to leave behind, the staff at the hospital, the refugees at Nevotech, David and his son. They all owed this second chance to a damn fine soldier, which wasn't an easy thing for a Marine to admit. Smith wasn't the only one who had disobeyed orders, ultimately saving lives. Larsen refused his instructions to kill Chang, losing his entire team as a result, and giving Rich's people a chance to expose the outbreak as a state-sponsored bioweapon, possibly even to find a cure to slow or stop it altogether. The more he thought about it, disobeying orders had done more good over the past 24 hours than bad. Even David had played a part in all of this. If he hadn't left the Westfield Police Department to take care of Joshua, everything might have turned out differently for Larsen and Chang that first night. They certainly couldn't have stolen Chang's plane without his help. It was all kind of mind-boggling. The hundreds of decisions that led to this moment, to seeing his son alive, a smile on his face. All worth it. The vehicle slowed as the first evidence of Rushville appeared in the distance. 2 billboards, one for a fast food restaurant, the other for a walk-in clinic. The clinic had undoubtedly seen its share of virus victims. The town was close enough to Indianapolis that a substantial percentage of its population likely commuted to the capital for work, bringing the insidious virus back with them. Rushville resembled the typical town found on the outer periphery of Indianapolis, larger than most of its neighboring townships due to its fortuitous placement on one of the main roads leading east into Ohio, but still little more than a rural farm town. Late last night, they'd passed through this quaint and surprisingly quiet downtown area, which was marked by several early 20th century limestone buildings, most of them occupied by local shops and banks. David had spotted a modest 3-story hospital on the northern end of town before the dark cornfields of Indiana swallowed their convoy. The street entrance to the hospital had been blocked by 2 Humvees with turret-mounted machine guns. He imagined every medical facility within 100 miles of Indianapolis was guarded by the military. A police cruiser had been parked closer to the hospital entrance, its emergency lighting flashing red and blue against the front of the building. How did Rushville's small police force deal with the infected that had erratically emerged from the homes clustered around Main Street? He didn't want to know. He vividly remembered the difficulties he'd faced as a police officer in Westfield, trying to hold back the tide of insanity unleashed by the virus. In less than 2 hours, he'd be on his way to Evansville, where the chances of running into one of the infected should be right around 0. The Jeep eased into the opposing lane and came to a stop at the edge of a vast cornfield, roughly 50 yards from the 2 billboards. The signs would make an easy landmark for his dad's convoy, and the cornfield could hide them from passing traffic while they waited. Not that he expected much traffic. Aside from a few farmhouses and double-wides, they hadn't passed much of anything worth visiting on the short trip toward Rushville. David wondered if they had stopped too soon. He really wanted to put more distance between his son and the makeshift refugee camp. It wouldn't take the powers that be long to figure out Major Smith had violated his orders. If the wrong set of eyes put the pieces together, this middle-of-nowhere stretch of country road would get really busy really quickly.